You've got a budget, you're tracking expenses, and you think you're doing everything right, but your money still disappears. Why? Because most people are making budgeting mistakes they don't even realize. In this video, I'll break down the top budgeting mistakes you didn't know you're making, and how fixing them can finally put you on the wealthy path. You may think that you're doing everything right. You've cut back on all your expenses. You have a good income, you're saving, you're investing. But then you check in on your progress, and you realize that your emergency fund isn't growing. Your savings account isn't getting any bigger. And you're asking yourself, how can I be doing everything right, and my finances still aren't improving? And the answer is that there are probably a few hidden mistakes in your budgeting habits. In this video, we're going to go through the top 6 budgeting mistakes that you didn't know that you were making so that you can fix them and finally start seeing results. Mistake number 1, ignoring small expenses. We've all been there. You know that your coffee habit isn't cheap, but you don't really think twice when you spend $5 on a daily latte because it's only $5, right? You also subscribe to a bunch of streaming services because what's an extra $15 a month? You buy a snack whenever you're out because it's only a few dollars. You may not think twice about those few dollars here or there, but those little purchases add up fast. These seemingly insignificant purchases often make up a significant portion of your monthly expenses. So if you're trying to budget effectively, you shouldn't ignore them. Instead, track every single expense, no matter how small. Every dollar counts, whether it's $5 or $50. By tracking your spending, you can identify areas where you can cut back and save money without having to make drastic changes to your lifestyle. It might surprise you to see just how much your daily latte and snack habit is costing you each month. And once you see it in black and white, you can decide if it's worth it or if you'd rather save that money for something else. Mistake no. 2. Being too strict. When you're trying to stick to a budget, it's easy to get overly strict with yourself. Maybe you allow yourself $5 for groceries and $10 for eating out, nothing more. But this approach to budgeting is doomed to fail. There are 2 problems with this mindset. First, it's unrealistic. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes you'll need to spend more than planned on groceries, or you'll have an unexpected social event that requires a larger food budget. When you're too strict with your budget and you can't stick to it, you're likely to feel overwhelmed and eventually give up on it altogether. Second, overly restricting your budget can lead to feelings of deprivation and resentment. If you never allow yourself to eat out or buy something for fun, you're likely to binge spend at some point and blow your entire budget. Instead, give yourself some wiggle room in your budget for some fun money that you can use however you want. This will help you stay on track without feeling deprived. You can also use this fun money to treat yourself when you stick to your budget for a whole month. That way you're rewarding yourself for being successful. Just make sure that your fun money doesn't end up being more than 10% of your overall budget. Mistake number 3, forgetting irregular expenses. Life has a lot of surprises in store for you, both good and bad. A good surprise could be an invitation to a wedding that you weren't expecting, while a bad surprise could be a car repair bill. Yes. These kinds of surprises are great when you have the money to cover them, but they can be disastrous if you don't. When it comes to budgeting, it's important to remember the irregular expenses that don't happen every month, like car repairs, holiday gifts, or annual membership fees. Without factoring in these irregular expenses into your budget, you're setting yourself up for failure. Let's say you budget $200 a month for car maintenance because you're anticipating a large repair bill at the end of the year. If you forget about that repair and other irregular expenses, you may find yourself scrambling to come up with the money when it's due. To avoid this situation, use the concept of sinking funds. A sinking fund is a savings account that you set up to pay for future expenses that you know are coming up. For example, if you know that you need to replace your tires in the next year, start putting money into a sinking fund each month to cover the cost. By setting aside money for irregular expenses in advance, you won't be caught off guard when they actually occur. You'll thank yourself later. Mistake number 4, not adjusting the budget. Your financial situation is constantly changing. Your income may increase or decrease, and your expenses may change as well. However, many people make the mistake of creating a budget once and then never adjusting it again. As your circumstances change, your budget should change with you. Otherwise, you'll be working with outdated information and won't be able to track your progress accurately. It's essential to review and update your budget regularly. If you wait too long before making adjustments, you may find yourself in a difficult financial situation. For example, let's say that you have a baby. This major life change will require more money for diapers, formula, and clothing. If you don't adjust your budget accordingly, you may find yourself overspending and going into debt to cover your new expenses. On the other hand, if your income increases, you may have more money available to save or invest. If you don't adjust your budget, you may be missing out on opportunities to grow your wealth. The bottom line is that life happens, and your budget should be flexible enough to accommodate those changes. Try to review and update your budget at least once a month so that you're always on track. Mistake number 5. No emergency fund. Done. Expected expenses are part of life. Whether it's a car repair, medical bill, or any other type of financial emergency, these expenses can catch us off guard and put our finances into chaos. Many people turn to their credit cards to cover these unexpected costs. However, this can be a big mistake. Credit card debt can quickly spiral out of control and end up costing you thousands of dollars in interest payments. Instead, it's important to have an emergency fund to fall back on in times of need. An emergency fund is a sum of money that you set aside specifically for unexpected expenses. Having an emergency fund can help you avoid going into debt when life throws you a curveball. Having an emergency fund can give you peace of mind knowing that you're prepared for whatever comes your way. When you have an emergency fund, you won't have to worry about maxing out your credit card or taking out a loan when an unexpected expense arises. This can save you a lot of stress and hassle in the long run. Additionally, an emergency fund can help you avoid the high interest rates associated with credit card debt. By using your emergency fund to cover unexpected expenses, you won't have to worry about paying high interest on that money. Instead, you'll be able to pay back your emergency fund over time without the added stress of interest payments. Overall, having an emergency fund is an essential part of any sound financial plan. By setting aside money for unexpected expenses, you can avoid debt and high interest payments. It's giving you peace of mind knowing that you're prepared for whatever life throws your way. Experts recommend having at least 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved in your emergency fund. Mistake number 6, tracking without planning. Many people think that budgeting is all about tracking your expenses and cutting back on unnecessary spending. And while tracking your expenses is important, it's only one piece of the puzzle. The real magic happens when you create a plan for your money. Some people make the mistake of tracking their expenses without creating a plan for their money. They may use a budgeting app to see where their money is going, but they don't create a plan for how they'll allocate their money each month. This can lead to feelings of overwhelm and frustration as they struggle to make ends meet. In order to avoid this common mistake, it's important to use a budgeting method that involves planning your expenses and giving every dollar a job. One popular method is zero-based budgeting, which involves setting a zero-based budget at the beginning of each month. With this method, you list all of your income and expenses and make sure that your income minus your expenses equals 0. This ensures that every dollar has a job and that you're not spending money on unnecessary items. Budgeting isn't about being perfect. It's about being aware of your spending habits and making conscious choices about how you use your money. By avoiding these common mistakes, you can keep more money in your pocket and work towards achieving your financial goals. So if you've made any of these mistakes, don't beat yourself up. Just learn from it and move forward. And if you want to learn more about budgeting and personal finance, be sure to ask us your questions in the comments below. Thank you for watching.